I woke up to me boyfriend snoring and now I cannot stop smiling, which is funny because if someone had told me a few years ago that a person snoring beside me would become one of my favourite sounds in the world, I would have laughed at them. But that morning was different. I opened my eyes just as the sun was beginning to peek through the curtains, and for a few seconds I stayed completely still trying to figure out what had woken me up. Then I heard a soft even snore coming from the other side of the bed. I slowly turned my head, and there he was completely asleep with his hair sticking up in every direction, one arm hanging off the mattress and the blanket twisted around him like he had spent the entire night fighting it. He looked absolutely ridiculous and somehow completely adorable. At first I thought about waking him up because the snoring was just loud enough to keep me from falling back asleep, but instead I found myself staring at him and smiling. The more I watched him, the harder it became to stop smiling because all I could think about was how different my mornings used to be. Before him I used to wake up alone, grab my phone immediately, lie and start worrying about everything it needed to do that day, work deadlines, bills, responsibilities, and all the little stresses that seem to appear the moment your eyes open. But now I was lying there listening to someone snore, and somehow it felt like the most peaceful morning of my life. I watched his chest rise and fall and thought about all the little moments that had brought us here. The first time we met when neither of us knew what to say. The awkward first date where we were both pretending not to be nervous. The long conversations somehow lasted until 2 and the morning, the road trips, the inside jokes, the random photos on our phones, the nights we spent laughing so hard us to max shirt, and suddenly I realised something. None of those moments felt important when they happened, but together they had quietly become my favourite memories. The snoring continued, and for some reason it made me laugh because it was so completely him. I never realised how loud he could be when he slept, and every time I mentioned it, denied everything, he would always say there was no proof and that I was exaggerating. Yeah, there he was producing non-noise to wake me up from across the bed. I thought about recording it just to finally prove I was right, but then I looked at him again and decided not to. Instead, I just enjoyed the moment because it felt strangely perfect. The room was calm. The world outside had not fully woken up yet, and for once there was nowhere it needed to be and nothing I needed to do. I could simply exist in that moment, listening to the person I loved snore away without a care in the world. A few minutes later, he shifted slightly and the snoring stopped. The silence felt almost disappointing, and I found myself waiting for the next on. Then another snore escaped and he started smiling and lover again. That was when I realised it was not really the snoring making me happy. It was what the snoring represented. It meant there was there. It meant we had fallen asleep beside each other again after another ordinary day together. It meant I was sharing my life with someone whose presence had come as a source of comfort rather than stress. Someone who could make me laugh without even being awake. Eventually he opened one eye and looked at me suspiciously. "Why are you staring at me?" he asked in a sleepy voice. It tried to stop smiling, but it was impossible. "Nothing," Ed narrowed his eyes, clearly unconvinced, and asked why I looked so happy. I almost told him the truth, but I knew exactly what would happen. He would get embarrassed, deny that he snores, and spend the rest of the day insisting I imagined it. So instead I just shook my head and said, "You were being cute." He laughed and told me that was impossible because he had literally just woken up. Then he rolled over, pulled the blanket thigher, and within minutes started snoring again.